Do you have a food you absolutely, positively do not like? I'm not talking about something you only think is gross because you've never tried it before. I'm talking about something you've tried over and over and over again, and no matter how many different ways you try it, you still can't stand the taste. You end up just resisting even the look of it. Well, on our planet, there are materials and substances that resist each other every day. I'm Gina Deere, and on this episode of The Artful Planet, I'm going to show you how not just scientists and chemists use resistant materials, but artists too. Resistance isn't futile. It's very, very useful.
We have made the most important discovery in the history of our world.
Oil. Little lipid molecules that come mostly from plants and animals and play an important role in keeping said plants and animals healthy. But I know a secret about these molecules. They have a nigh incurable condition called hydrophobia. Hydro meaning water and phobia meaning fear. It's a little word that chemists use to describe something interesting about oil. They say it is literally afraid of water. They say this because anytime the two meet, they fight and resist and push each other away, and they never ever mix. Even if I combined every part of this, filled it all the way up, covered it with a lid, and shook it up and told them to get along, they still wouldn't. They still separate. The water and the oil just don't mix. The hydrophobic nature of oil makes sure that no matter which way I turn this or shake this, the oil will always push away and resist the water. Now you may think this is a bad thing, but it's actually really, really helpful. All kinds of jobs all over this planet rely on resistant materials to help people stay safe and make their job more effective. Electrical engineers use rubber to resist the electricity and keep them safe from being electrocuted. Astronauts rely on heat-resistant materials to get them safely inside and outside of the Earth's atmosphere. If they didn't have this, they would simply burn up. In fact, Dr. Omar Sadio Baradza and a team from Imperial College London not too long ago just tested two materials that are found to be the world's most heat resistant. That means that they're not going to burn up, crack, or melt in a fire. These two materials that they found, tantalum carbide and hafnium carbide, were found to resist heat up to 4,000 degrees Celsius. That's 7,232 degrees Fahrenheit. That's almost, but not quite, as hot as our sun. Which leads me to a very important point. Even though 4,000 degrees is like really, really hot, resistance does not mean all the time, every time, 100% always going to resist no matter what. Rubber will resist electricity, but only so much before it starts passing the electricity onto something or someone else, which is why something like a downed power line is very dangerous. Even though there's rubber and insulation surrounding the wires still hold enough electricity to kill the grown person that touches that wire and the grown person that touches that person. So let's not go anywhere near down power lines anytime soon. And even our most heat-resistant materials, tantalum carbide and hafnium carbide, will still get burned up and destroyed if it gets too close to the sun. And even our hydrophobic oil can learn to get along with water if you add a third substance called an amphiphile. Imagine an amphiphile is like a school counselor who takes two kids that fight all the time and teaches them how to get along. To show you what I mean, our school counselor, Miss Amphiphile, is going to be played by my trusty liquid soap. What this liquid soap is going to do is it's going to take one hand and hold on to the water and take the other hand and hold on to the oil. And when that happens, they go into the counselor's office, they have a nice long conversation, and when they come out, the oil and the water have learned to get along, and they are inseparable from here on out. This is a very good thing for us, because the protective coating around something like a virus is made of a kind of oil. And if we use Miss Amphiphile, like when we go to wash our hands, the Amphiphile will hold hands with the coating of the virus and with the water you're using to wash with, and off it goes, away from your hands and down the drain. So you are kept safe and sound and free of sickness. So please, my friends, wash your hands. Anyway, artists also use resistant materials in their artwork to make all kinds of beautiful artwork. They may not realize they're being little chemists when they do this, but in fact they are. For what is art but applied science? I bet you have within your home the supplies needed to make a beautiful, phenomenal piece of artwork, using the principle of resistance and using hydrophobic materials. You don't believe me? Just watch. To see the principle of resistance in action, the first thing you're going to need is some watercolor paper. This is big, strong, sturdy paper that will not turn into a goopy mess when it gets wet, and that's exactly what we're going to need. We're going to need a paintbrush, we're going to need some water, and we're going to need, if you had any guess, you probably guessed right, watercolor. Now, it doesn't have to be any kind of fancy watercolor. You can even pick up a watercolor palette from your dollar store and watch this in action. And last but not least, what you're going to need is a white crayon. Any kind of wax white crayon will be hydrophobic. It will resist and push back water. So to get started, you're going to have to think backwards. Don't think about where do I want the color to go. Think about where I don't want the color to go and start there. When you have an idea, go ahead and take your white crayon and begin to color pretty heavily in these areas. When you're satisfied where you think all the crayon will block out the watercolor, you can get started with the fun part. Taking your brush, you're going to dip it in your water and brush this water liberally all over your paper. What we're doing is we're allowing the paper to get wet ahead of time before we put any color on. And I'll show you why this is helpful in just a moment. And I'm going to start to mix my watercolor. I'm a big fan of deep blue colors. So I'm going to start with my blue pigments here. And when I start to brush it over my paper, you're going to notice that the pigments will go everywhere except where you have already put the wax. You see the wax is resisting the water. And you don't have to stick to just one color. You can have all sorts of colors if you want to. Add it onto your watercolor painting. I'm gonna add some greens over here. And it's doing the same thing. The water that's already on the paper is allowing me to really brush on and move that pigment that's from the watercolor around. It's almost like having your own coloring book, and you never have to worry about coloring outside of the lines. Now, once you are satisfied with all the color you want on your paper, simply give it time to dry and then you can display it proudly in your home as your own piece of resistance artwork. I cannot wait to see what kind of resistance art you make. So let's try this. If you finish your painting, take a picture of it and upload it to Instagram with the hashtag ArtfulPlanet for a chance to be featured in my next video. I'm Jean Idier, and I am so glad you stopped by. We learned so much today about resistant materials. We learned about the oh-so-tantalizing tantalum carbide, which resists heat. We learned that oil has a condition called hydrophobia, where it's afraid of water, but that you can teach oil to get along with water using amphiphiles. Have a great week, and I cannot wait to see you again next time on The Artful Planet. Like and subscribe if you feel the same way too. Bye-bye!